In all of my conversations I've had within the past year about politics, I've never spoken to someone who is so ready to just put party aside and say, hey, it doesn't matter if you're blue or red, let's work together. I mean, you said you wanted to be in the get stuff done party. So, what areas do you specifically see, let's say you're elected, that you could work with Republicans on? Where can you find that bipartisanship?
Well, the vast majority of the Republican counties in the country, the most, the vast majority of the rural counties in the rural districts are represented by Republicans. So when I get into the issues that I really care about, because our district cares about them, which is water, domestic energy, ranching, farming, public lands, natural resources, the vast majority of those caucuses and the vast majority of the committees are really going to be Republican led. So I would imagine the vast majority of time I'm going to go in there and working a majority of the time with the majority of Republicans, and that's fine with me. I'm looking to find people that are taking the job seriously and are focused on the district and not themselves. And the reason we're doing so well is that we have a current representatives not doing that. But there's definitely are a lot of people that are representing rural America, some Dems and a lot of Republicans that are focused on their district. And those are the people that I want to go work for and work with to build a coalition to get stuff done.
Obviously, within the past year, one of the biggest kitchen table issues for Americans has been the economy. There was this talk of a looming recession that seemed to kind of fade away, but inflation is still high. And on your website, you wrote that you worked for 2 decades to create local economic growth and jobs. How'd you do it?
Yeah, so I've been in our district for about 20 years, but I actually spent, and it's no secret, I spent 10 years in the metropolis of Manhattan, very, very involved in the global financial markets, global interest rates. And so I'm not one of these people to promise that elect me and I'm going to make inflation back down to 1.9%. But especially compared to the current representative, I'm happy to have conversations about financial issues domestically, internationally. But inflation is killing people. Colorado has some of the highest inflation in the country. In rural America, especially with gas prices, they are coming down, but they are still higher than where they've been over the past couple of years. And again, the reason I've been able to had a fair amount of success in the business world, in this big business, as well as in the small, as well as my wife, she helps run her family's manufacturing business. So we truly understand how hard it is to be a small business owner. My great grandfather opened up a cattle trading business in northern Minnesota. My cousin runs it now. And so I talked to him a fair bit. And when you talk to a fourth generation owner operator of a feed store grain elevator, and you spend a lot of time talking to other ranchers and farmers in the district, you have a pretty good handle over what needs to happen. And a lot of it has to do with just being left alone to be able to produce the food that shows up on a lot of people's plates and all the supermarkets. And a lot of the water that is used in California and Arizona and Nevada is coming out of the mountains of Colorado. And we want to make sure that our ranchers and farmers and small business owners have access to that water. And so, again, I'm not saying that the federal government should be trying to figure out how to fix small business owners. I just want to make sure that they have an environment from a tax structure and a regulatory structure of which to flourish. Domestic energy is something that's really, really important in our district. And I've made it very, very clear, even to the most liberal groups that I speak to, is that when we have a president of any party begging countries like Saudi Arabia and Iran and Venezuela for help when it comes to domestic energy supply, our country needs to have one set of domestic energy goals. When we're done begging bad countries for help about domestic energy, we can have another conversation. It's not good when we are begging these countries for help for our national security. It's certainly not helpful for the global climate, because I will guarantee you that every energy producer in the United States, especially in Colorado, is much better regulated for families' health, neighborhood health, and the global climate than what might be produced in Saudi Arabia or China or Russia or Venezuela. And so these are the common sense ideas that I'm trying to come up with, where a lot of people are in DC. They just don't get a lot of voice time because they're not, again, the ones that are yelling on Twitter or X or whatever that's called now, and social media, as well as some of the far cable news networks that are out there.